Live right now.
You're doing?
Okay. Testing. Testing.
5 minutes later.
There's a smile.
I'm always
Okay.
smiling.
You good?
I'm always good.
Alright.
Are you guys ready to go?
We're live.
We're live.
We're live.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Nprc Talk. Brought to you by 707 Streetcars, formerly Judd's Motorsports. This episode brought to you by Phantom RC Products, RCRI Innovations, Hobby Wing in North America, and joining me as always is Ricky Bellotti. And then Randy Vieira, my other good buddy here.
Is it going?
We have some stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to not dyno a motor because a lot of the guys are out there calling what we're going to show you dynoing a motor, and that's technically not dynoing a motor. All it's doing is informationing your motor. It's telling what you got, what your actual numbers are, and we're going to go through all that stuff. We're going to tell you what the numbers mean, what to look for in a motor. We have a couple special guests I want to get out right away. They're nice enough to join us. Jamie, hi, Jamie Garlett. She couldn't make it tonight. She's our camera crew. And tonight, if you want to flip the phone around, we got Rich. Hi, Rich.
Yeah, right. Hey, what's up?
Okay, so also in the house, we got a guest here. We got Matt Kidd. Anybody who's been in the RC world for longer than, 10 minutes just knows Matt Kidd. Pro driver, pro sponsored, pretty much just kills anything he touches. After building race cars for 20 years and me getting back into this 3 or 4 years ago, Matt helped me kind of guide me down the right track of what the hot companies were and stuff to start out with, because I had been out of it for a long time. I think
no longer was a company.
I know, that blew me away. I think the last time I raced, Novak had just come out with their 17.5 purple and silver cans, and it was
Purple smoke ESCs.
So yeah, it's been a long ride. Let's give out some shout outs. Let's start before my shout outs. You guys want to give any shout outs?
Yeah, I'd like to give some props to Mike Cassar with MKS Servos. Appreciate receiving that
I'm gonna have fun with that son of a gun.
Take that away.
Is that it? Okay,
servo.
what about you, Randy? Yeah.
Obviously, Troy with Phantom. The
What's up,
cars.
Troy?
Cars are running great with these packs. And motors.
These are Phantom products, 8200 milliamp, 130C constant, 2S battery packs. You can get them. I prefer you. If I was going to go on, I would go right to Phantom and just order them right from Phantom. You can find them other places. They're great batteries. It's the only thing I'll run in my car. Also, we got, this is just not standing up, is it? Here, we're just going to do this. We got some Phantom motors here and just kind of some stuff to showcase. I've had a lot of guys in the last couple of weeks, contact me, and I know that everybody gets contacted. Probably Matt does a lot, and what motors to run. I don't have a lot of money. I want to spend some money, but I only want to do this once. Can you at least tell me that much? And I say absolutely. So I just about half hour ago told another guy. He's like, I was thinking about getting a blah 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 4-turn, and I was like, I think that you should probably go with the 4.5, and I would either go with a Phantom or a Phantom. So I mean that's pretty much
Even digit ones are a lot more linear too.
Yeah.
Than the half turn.
much more linear, yeah. But we'll get into that. Randy, do you have any shouts?
Everybody that watches.
Everybody that watches, what's up, everybody? Without you, we wouldn't even be doing this. We would have seven views.
Got 35,
What about you,
36 people
Matt
now.
Kidd? You got anything to say, Kid?
I'm all good.
All good.
One up racing.
Before I get
Jake's hobbies.
any more into this, I want to say God bless America and God bless our troops, and just really, really fortunate to live on this soil and do what we do. So let's get down to it.
That's all.
Okay, so I want to personally give some shout outs to Troy of Phantom. That's my first shout out. that's game, recognized game. The guy's been in it for so long. He makes the best products as far as I'm concerned for what we're doing here. He was a couple weeks ago. We had already mentioned that he had reached out to us and offered us full ride sponsorships for 2020 with the Nprc drag racing. And this is some of the stuff that he sent us. And it's just with the exception of these are just boxes that are showing you more of their products, but the motors and the batteries and this all comes from Phantom. Like I said again, if you want to go fast, this is the stuff to do it with. So. RCRI, or RC Racing Innovations. This is a chassis company. They make wheelie bars. I believe they're out of Texas. Yeah. Yep. Steve is making some stuff for us right now. We're eagerly. Hi, Steve. Everybody say hi, Steve. Hi, Steve. You can go set it on the fly. We can't figure out how to turn it down. That's like the volume it has. Sorry.
Point it the other way. We'll still hear it, I promise.
Anyway, great chassis company. The quality of these products are just second to none. There's a reason why RC Racing Innovations is part of the drag scene and will be for a long time to come because they just make really good stuff. So thanks again, Steve. Can't wait for some banners. We got everybody else up here. We need some RCRI stuff. So I want to say hi to two people that are here locally that mean a lot to me. Gabe Abraham. Or Abram, and he's a close friend of mine. I've known him for a couple of years now, and the guy would just do anything, and he puts up with a lot of stuff that goes on in the Nprc world, and he doesn't even race his car. So for him to come out and do that, I mean, my hat's off to you. Again, I don't do that too often, but I love you, Gabe, if you're watching. And the other one is Charlie. Charlie, he's a hobby wing guy. He's just phenomenal. He's just a really smart guy. He's just really intellectual and he's a problem solver. He does a lot. I personally, I'm a big fan, Charlie. If you're watching, I'm a big fan of your drone footage. I think his drone footage is awesome, dude. So, you guys are killing me. So other than that, what we're showcasing you, this car will actually go through a complete transformation in the next 2 weeks. It is just, I mean, we ran it today, and it's other than a piece of equipment that failed in the car that we knew was failed. We just wanted to make sure from the launch. I mean, it was keeping right up with the ghost car, so the cars are just right there. And I'm in the works of coming up with the next level of everything in the car, so that we can go even faster. I mean, by the end of 2020 race season, we want to be doing 70 miles an hour. I want to put one of these at a 2 flat 70 miles an hour. So that's my goal. I hope Troy and Steve from RCRI and Phantom Products can help us get there. And the other guys that help us, Ron, I'd like to give another shout out to Ron at Hobby Wing. This is my second year with Hobby Wing. It was pretty awesome to jump right back into this, and with the help of people like Matt at the beginning to go, okay, Matt, thank you for what you taught me. Now I'm going to pick this, and this is what I'm going to go do. And I went and did it, and I just killed it. So yeah, Ron's a good guy. And so I want to give a shout out to him. If this ever makes it back to him, he catches a glimpse of this show. What's up, Ron? Thank you. Again, my hat's off to you. So I'm thinking we do some motors first. So what we're going to cover tonight is we're going to cover the motor thing and what's what and what your numbers mean and stuff like that. And I think, Matt Kidd's been doing this for a long time. He has a good understanding, like I do, of electric motors. And I think that maybe we'll do that first, or you guys want to do the other first? Let's save the best for last.
Saving the best for last.
All right. Matt, if you could do me a favor and grab that pack off the battery charger. Excuse me.
51 people watching. Right
51 people watching.
Do you want the adapter?
No, just the open pack, please, inboard.
So my kid is asking where I am. I'm right here. With a smile.
Here, was yours in a box? Do you have another one in a box? Okay, thank you, sir. And this was an empty one. And this is a new motor, and a new motor, and a new motor. Randy, if you could take this stuff and just, because this is some of my good stuff, so go put some of that good stuff away. Okay. And then if you could reach behind you again, Matt. And I need the magnifying glass, the battery analyzer, and the box that's underneath the blue car. Thank you. So anybody got any questions? I mean, we got a race coming up. I do believe that for the guys in the Sonoma 707, I think we're gonna get rained out this weekend. The box, the case that's under the blue car. Yeah, thank you. I want to show Randy's blue car. Let me see your car real quick. I think this body's just beautiful.
She's not beautiful as she was, but she took a tumble in Vegas.
Look at this thing. So anybody who knows me knows I'm not a GM fan, okay? But when I was a kid, I watched the Stephen King movie, and it was about some high school kid that was a werewolf or whatever, and he was hiding it from everybody. Well, he had a blue Trans Am, and I just thought it was just the bitchinest car when I was a kid. So when you painted it and you finally showed it to me and it was blue, I was like, dude, that thing's, all you need is the chrome TA tips out the back like that. Yeah, that's what's up.
I have a tendency to aim for crowds of people.
No, it's not a Mustang.
But then again, we're not here for scale looks, so we're here to go fast. Yeah, watch it, buddy. You're like in the wolf's den here. Okay, so this is a really cheap thing that you can pick up.
Just playing this live. I don't know.
It's a motor analyzer, and what this is going to do is this is going to take your motor and it's going to show you what the actual numbers are on the motor. Okay, so what I mean by that is when we go buy a motor, we're talking about turn.
Sorry.
We're talking about turn of the motor. We're talking about kV of the motor. A lot of people are going, I'm going to buy the da-da-da kV and this and that. And you know, what a lot of people don't know is the ratings of the kVs, not actually what the motor's doing. Just like the end belt timing on the side of the motor, what the end belt is silk screened on the can, the little white lines that you see, isn't actually what is happening inside the motor. There's differences between the mechanical hash marks that you think you're reading on the end of the motor and what the electronics inside of the motor. Some of that is lost in translation. Some of the motors are really close, some of them aren't. So, I mean, I've seen motors that say the end belt's at 35 degrees and we put it on the analyzer and it's at 23 degrees. So
I've seen the opposite.
I've seen it all over the board, but I'm just saying it does exist. So you can pick one of these up. I think the cheapest one I saw before doing the video, I saw one for like about $95. You know, if you can buy one from your local hobby shop, I'd recommend that. And it's just a really cool motor. And not only that, you know, if you're a guy like us that's got all kinds of RC cars laying around and you want to know if a motor's good or bad or what it's doing or how healthy it is, this is really good too. And it also do brushed motors too. So what you got in the box here is you got the motor analyzer unit and you got your 3 leads. And this is for motor polarity. And then what this is your sensor wire. And then it comes with 2 different connectors. One to go right to a Tamiya pack and one that goes to bullets, which is what we're going to use with this pack here. So I'm going to save that for a minute. So let's set this thing up really quick. It only takes a second. What are these yellow connectors called?
XT, that's XT60.
Okay. Can we move that car?
Got some glasses.
You know what? Flip the handle down on that and just set that car up there. And I'm going to do this sideways so that I can see it and the camera can see it. So I'm going to make this really easy. I'm going to put B is blue. I'm going to do that. That sounds easy. So C, vitamin C, orange. There you go. Well, that's how my mind remembers stuff. So, and then A, because cars that are yellow look like ass. So, I'm just saying. I mean, did you not realize the car was yellow when you bought it? So anyway, we want to plug the sensor wire into it, and this is just the same kind of sensor wire that you would have on your speed control. And instead of reading inputs, the motor reading inputs. Okay. So let's grab a motor. Grab any motor over there. Is that what is that black one right there?
This one, the McLean D2M.
Okay. Okay, so let's put this on and see what it does. The Macklin motor here. I don't know. Can we buy these at our local hobby shop?
Jake has a couple in his store right now.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about that right now?
Jake has 2 of these 4.5 turns. They are the, I don't even know, V2M.
A V2M. Okay.
Macklin.
A Macklin. Okay.
4.5 turn.
So I actually have one of these setups, and for what it does in one of my buggies, it's okay. I mean, I don't race the buggy, but I know that they're associated with more higher end stuff, right?
So it used to be Viper, and then now they're Macklin. They're good quality
Okay.
stuff for sure.
So there you go. They're good
Both are
quality
really
stuff.
close to that, too.
This is a 4.5 turn, which I think I really, really greatly helped everybody lean towards, and that's pretty much the end product is it
Those are
turning
more
out.
RPM motors than torquey motors.
Correct. But when I was doing really good, I know at least around here, and I think it's caught on because I have a lot of people call and ask me again for knowledge and stuff. And I like to help out everybody. That I raced a 5.5 and got to like 7th on the list. We have a really fast list, and it's cutthroat the eliminator round to get on the list. There's always like 30 guys there, so you got to be on your game to make it on the list. And I make it on the list, and all the way up to 7th the first time with a 5.5. And a lot of people fell into that and ran 5.5s, and then I did some practicing and some testing with some 4.5s, and they were just that much faster. I've stuck with that wind, and I think a lot of people, if not almost everybody, has really kind of followed in my footsteps, and it kind of set the pace. So this is a 4.5. We're gonna take it, and let's start. Let's start by hooking this little gidget up here. If I can get that in there. There's just a wicked shadow over here.
Wicked.
Does this have a prong on it? Yeah, it does.
It does.
I can't see because the shadow. There it is. Okay. So we're gonna put this guy on the cradle. Make sure it's got some little rubber bands to keep it from vibrating. And we're gonna do
C is orange.
C is orange.
A is yellow. Cars are yellow, though, Cass.
Unique, New York.
Really all
The suspect had oddly shaped feet. I was at SWAT training, and one of the guys.
Take it away from YouTuber.
There you go.
So when you're hooking these up, make sure that the alligator clamp is only on that terminal, and it's really easy to overthrow the terminal and touch the tip of the alligator clamp to the side of the can of the motor. But this one looks like it's hooked up pretty good. Now here's how we can test it. Let's go ahead and add some power. Make sure you always got polarity. This specific machine will burn up if you don't get the polarity right. So we're just going to do that. And let's turn this sideways. Now, as you can see, it's an introduction and everything lights up. If you come over here, these are the sensor lights. So before I give it any juice or do any kind of testing to it, what I'm going to do, can you still see the red lights?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to twist it. And if I can see those all coming on and kind of moving around like that in that pattern, then it's doing its job. Okay. So this thing will do a lot of different things. This is going to tell you the actual kV of the motor. But we're not going to do that yet. We're going to go to timing. Motor timing, okay? So this motor, I believe, is what? Hand me one of those lights over there. I believe it's 30 degrees.
34.
It's at 32 degrees, okay? So the can, if you can come in here, what's this? If you can see
Try to show them the back of the motor.
the numbers,
On the back of the motor.
it's right here on the side. And there's a little arrow there. And if I got close up with my magnifying glass, it's actually pointed at 32. So let's see what it actually is. Oh, let's see it again.
I want to get the back of it.
Okay. So I'm just going to put a finger on it, and we're going to go to motor timing. And it's running a test. Okay. So the motor's at 33, so that's a pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate. I have some motors that are dead accurate on. I have some motors that say that they're really good motors, and you go to run the numbers on them, and they're off by 6 degrees. So these things are mass produced, and just like a car part, an alternator for your car or something. If you get a bad one, there's a chance that they were made in batches. not saying that if it's off a couple points that it's necessarily bad. It's just not that accurate of a motor. So here's the other thing you want to look at. So there's 3 things in here that all have to do with the polarity here, and they're called the poles. And what you're looking for is you want the A, B, and C poles to be as close as possible. And it's kind of hard to keep it there because it's flashing. So that's the motor timing, what it's actually at. And we got 34, 32, and 33. Those are pretty darn good numbers. If a motor's got 28, 33, and 36, Matt would probably back me up on this. We'd probably send that motor back. Those poles are so far out of whack that, I mean, we might be able to get away with a little bit, or do away with a little bit of it by adjusting the motor.
Confident in your soldering abilities, don't even try it.
Don't even try it. So anyway, that's what you're looking for with this thing. You're looking what the variance is in the timing and what the motor's actually running. So for some of you out there that are just yanking the end belts up to 50 degrees or whatever, you don't even know what you're doing to the motor, and that's how you're going to hurt it. So if you're going to try and do stuff with some end belt timing, that's the one thing. Your speed control by any brand is not going to tell you what the end belt's at. So you've got to get one of these to figure out what the actual numbers are.
Not true. R1 tells you all that stuff.
Does it? Okay. Well, hobby wing. Okay, so let's go to this again.
There's a reason I don't run hobby wing anymore.
So,
Ron's a great guy. Ron, if you're listening. I'm just kidding.
So we're gonna go to KV. So what we're gonna do is, again, I'm just gonna kind of put my hand on it because I don't think one of my rubber bands is hitting it very well.
The front doesn't like to hit because of all the scallops in the motor.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to press start. And what this is going to do is this is going to record. As I go counterclockwise on the dial, these lights are going to light up more and more and more. They're going to go green, then yellow, then red. I'm not even going to go into the red. And I don't even know how high I'm going to run this motor. So let's just kind of see what it does. And what this is going to tell you is, I think according to some generic industry standard chart that I have, a 4.5 is right around a 9,000 kV. So unfortunately, they never put out what they're actually advertised with. So that's why we do this too. We want to find the strongest motor. So
when you click it, when it's all the way up at your max, it'll
lock it. Yeah, totally. Yeah, we'll get to that. So what this is over here, this is the voltage that I'm putting into the motor. This is the kV, and this is going to be the max RPM, or the peak RPM that the motor ran. So I'm not so much looking at RPM, I'm looking at kV. That's going to tell me how strong the motor is. So what is this motor rated as? A 4.5, so it's about 9,000 kV, and I bet you maybe we'll see 8 out of it. So let's do it. And it also depends on, what kind of current you're putting into it. I'm not going to really push this motor. So you can see already it's putting out right around 3,000 kV. I'm only giving it 2.5 volts, and RPM is 26,000. So let's go up another. This blows up. You guys are taking me over to the ER. Yeah, guys, I would suggest doing this with safety glasses on. Let's go up another one. So at 4.8 volts, it's putting out 5,700 kV at 45,000 RPM. The RPM's not bad, but I'm not seeing the kV yet. So I'm going to bring it up to the end of the yellow and then freeze frame it. Now it's got a good solid sound to it, so I can keep it there without hurting the motor. Okay, so what I just did is I pressed the button and it freeze framed where I hit the button at all my peak values, okay? If you get up into the middle, if you want to use one of these and you get up into the middle of the yellow and you hear the thing making funny noises or it's cavitating, you obviously have some kind of problem with the motor.
Do you use the noise on this thing?
I do. We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, totally.
To check it for wobbles and things.
For wobble and for bearing. Yeah, we'll get to that.
I'm going to try and cut you off, but exactly what you're saying.
So, as I'm holding on to it, you don't want to get the motor too hot. If you can get up to the first or second yellow light on the thing, and it's not going wah, blah, 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 well, then you're okay to go up another one. I highly don't recommend going into the red. But you know, I've brought in motors if a motor was doing really good and I couldn't believe the motor or the numbers that were coming out of it and it was cool and everything, I would just keep going up just to see what the motor would handle. So it does do more than what we just did. So this motor is supposed to be 54,000 RPM on a free spin. Isn't too bad. I'm not maxing the motor out because everybody knows that it's not good to really full bore free spin a motor. It's just not a good thing to do. So don't crank this thing up if you get one of these and just let it sit there and get hot, or you catch this little rig on fire or something. So do this with caution. Tread lightly and play around with it and get to know the numbers. So at 4.5 turns, this motor is supposed to be roughly 9,000, or I'd say 9,100 kV. Well, the actual kV of this motor is only 6,836, okay? So it has kind of a low kV rating. A lot of the motors that we're running are, 7,700 kV. With a little bit of tweaking, I could probably get a lot more out of this. And what I mean by that, it's part of what, a small part of what, a tuned motor is playing with the timing, with all the different settings in this thing and finding a nice happy medium and raising the kV and lowering the heat. And it takes work. Don't think that you're going to hook a motor up to this and you're going to press a button and sit here and, when it's done with the spin cycle, you'll take it off and go race it, because it doesn't work like that. So what Matt was bringing up, if you want to come back up here. No! I did just do that, didn't I? Both of them. Hey, Matt, do me a favor. Grab me a towel. I'll take this one. I'll just drink it.
Where's the towel? Are they ready?
Yeah, that's fine. So anyway, sorry about this. I just spilled...
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties all over my Futaba radio box. Okay, that's fine. Okay, here you go. So...
I'm not going to show the Gordy details.
Yeah. What Matt was talking about is the decibel levels. So you can if you get any if you have any rotor wobble in the thing, which if you want to explain that, Matt, what that is, any variances in the rotor that might cause sound.
Exactly.
Okay.
As rotors start to get worn out and things like that, it'll show on this, like you're saying, on the noise level.
Yeah. Okay. And it'll also do the same thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you have a bad bearing.
Correct.
You'll see the decibel, okay?
100%.
Now, from what I've noticed, okay, I will be going through the greens on this thing with any motor I dyno, and it's all about kind of the same with the decibels if the motor's healthy, okay? And what I mean by that is I'll go through the green and it'll jump up in decibel pretty high. Then when I start getting towards about 80% of where I'm going to go, it usually levels out late 80s, early 90s, and it kind of stays there. And even if I crank the motor a little higher than I should, it kind of stays there. It doesn't get any louder. And what we mean by decibels is the harmonic sound and the rhythm that is coming out of this thing.
Should be smooth.
Should
if
be
it
smooth.
Starts to cog or anything like that,
If
there's
you-
other variables, like you said, bearings,
Yeah.
rotor.
If you buy one of these and you throw a motor on here and you check the decibels, which is what I'm going to show you how to do in a minute, and you right off the bat got 122 decibels, there's something wrong with that motor. So it's time to rip it apart, clean it, test the rotor in it. If there's rotor testers out there and strength testers.
Well, the first thing you talked about was variances, which is A, B, and C. The difference in between those, you want to try to keep that 2 or less between A and C.
Correct,
You don't want
as close together as possible.
And it's hard to get it exactly perfect.
Except for that motor I dynoed. I dynoed a motor that was 32 degrees on the can, 32 degrees on the actual timing. The poles were 32 degrees, 32 degrees, 32 degrees. And I called him and went, dude, you're not going to believe
most
this.
team motors are very, very close. And when you buy production motors, you got to think these companies are pumping out motors thousands at a time.
Yeah, totally. It's
hundreds
mass
at a time.
produced. That's what. Yeah.
So like anything in life, it's everything, or at least with RC stuff, the stuff's handmade. There's going to be variances and whatnot. The team guys are going to get the better of the stuff. It just is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do that. Let's bring this, and we're gonna go down to this right here. It says noise level. Okay.
Test your rubber booties.
Yeah. I don't know. Right there. Okay.
A lot of companies, though, offer, if you want to spend an extra $20, $40, you can buy team motors. They're, you can buy them.
Okay, let's do this. So here we got decibel and peak decibel. Okay. So see how, look, we're only on the first green, and it shot up to 92. Well, let's hope it stays there, Randy. Okay. So just me picking. Well, there. It's the can. So because this can has so many slots, it's hard to find the O-rings that the motor's supposed to sit on. That looks pretty... I'm just going to hold it. Okay, so we're at 87 on the green. Let's go up another one. It stayed at 89. That's good. That's what you want to see. You want to see it kind of hover there. So I just went up another probably 10,000 RPM right there, 8,000 RPM, and it's not good. It jumped up a little bit. Let's go up some more. It went down. 92, 93, 97.
Everybody's making fun of my white glove.
Okay, so this thing's actually, we actually just put a rotor in this thing. So, did we shim it? I didn't shim it, did I?
Should just show the red.
No, that one was already.
Oh, it was. Okay. So this thing hit right around, I think I saw it go as high as 93 decibels. So I just put 6.9 or 7 volts through it at probably 50,000 RPM or 54,000 RPM-ish, which is almost what we just got the other numbers off of. So it's a pretty, it's almost full throttle, maybe about 80%. And it stayed, even when it got up a little bit, up to mid-90s, it went right back down, and we finished it at 91 decibels. So this is a pretty good motor. So all in all, I just kind of wanted to show you guys, that, and to remind you, to warn you, not to just, if you really, this stuff's expensive. We work hard for our money, and if you don't know what you're doing, or you have a buddy who says he does, and he steps in and he just starts, we've had a guy locally that likes to crank stuff up, and he cranked, I've seen him crank some pretty hard timing marks out of stuff, and you can really hurt stuff. So if you don't want to hurt your motors and stuff, and you want to go fooling around with that stuff to get the maximum performance and the tunability out of the products, go get something like this and see what your real numbers are. Don't just guess for what's written on the can, because it's not what it is. And is there anything else that you guys want to add to this? Okay. You can go, like Matt was talking, you can get handmade motors. This is obviously...
This one I think is hand assembled.
All motors are handmade. What I'm saying is you get, when you start getting into the team motors, all it is, everything is mass produced. They take the best of the best and put those together, but that takes time and effort.
Yeah.
They're going to dyno stuff. So
imagine dynoing 200 motors in a day.
You're going to pay for their time.
Yeah.
It is what that's the nature of the beast.
If you want to buy, there's a lot of products. Trinity makes some motor stuff.
Just my advice, I don't recommend going through a lot of motor tuners that offer, rotor people like that. I wouldn't recommend something like that. Trust the company, trust their tuners.
So,
like companies like Phantom, Trinity, things like that, I would trust those.
The bigger companies that are mass producing stuff at a higher quality, so that no matter what one you get out of what lot, it's probably going to be a darn decent motor. So if you want to go one step further, again, available at your local Walmart. No, available at Phantom. A lot of other companies will sell. If you want to venture out and try different rotors, and there's shim kits and all kinds of stuff that we do to fool with these motors. We fool with the motors using the rotors. So here you go. Right now we're right around a 12.5 rotor with a 4.5, and what we're doing with this thing and a couple other little things that we do to the motors, they're running really good. So the motors are just, the Phantom motors are just crazy. So if you don't have a Phantom motor, get you a Phantom motor, win you some races, earn you some W's. These are awesome products. It is the only thing. Let me see my pink car up there. My pink car. I like saying that. That's my pink car. So the Ghost has got a Phantom motor in it. Right there, Phantom. If you notice, if you can look in there, I got a Phantom motor in there.
we bumped canards.
It's a Phantom Icon 2.0. It's the second gen Icon. If you don't have one of these motors, go get one. They're a little bit on the pricey side. I think a stock Icon's right about $120.
I believe they're $99 on the website.
$99 on the website, and I think you can build them all the way up to $250, $300 motors with all their little gadgets you can put in them. Not all those gadgets you need. So that's what we run. Go get you a Phantom motor.
Run with the big dogs.
Run with the big dogs.
Run Phantom.
Is there... Thank you. Okay, that's enough. Okay.
I'm putting the mic away.
No, I like it actually. But every time it went off, I saw his eyeballs pop out of his head because it was so loud. Is there any questions about any of the motors? Anything else that while we're here right now that we can answer for anybody before we move on?
What about higher end copper rotors?
Copper rotors.
Yeah, Jason Sullivan.
I don't know. You want to shed some light on that? I don't think I've ever used a copper
I think
rotor.
what he's just asking is higher torque rotors. I don't know what he's saying about copper rotors, but different rotors. It's a tuning option. The lower the gouge, I guess, when you gauge rotors, the lower the gouge, the higher the RPM. The higher the gouge, the more torque. So it's a tuning option.
Okay, can you explain gouge to us?
You gotta have I can't. I'm not that smart, but gouge is, I guess, it's the way the rotors are measured, the magnetism, the strength in the rotor itself.
Okay.
So that the word is gouge.
So would you be able to figure out that kind of technical information by using one of, like, say, the Phantom RC rotor testers and strength testers?
100%.
There you go. So you can have, again, and it's like this. I mean, I've built real race cars for 20 years, guys. I work on cop cars now, whether it's cop cars or diesel trucks or tractors. No two parts are the same. This car and that car are built exactly the same parts, the same bolt. They have totally different personalities, okay? So, if
like you're saying, timing on the motor, timing in the speed control, your rotor, everything is all, it needs to equal.
It works in perfect harmony to do what it does. So, and this all comes down to how far you want to get into this,
It's all, that's testing.
Yeah. And if you had a rotor tester, I mean, you could take one company's rotor and put it on there and test the magnetism strength, and then take another one, the exact same model and everything that was built on the same, and it might be different, It does happen. So this is a good way to see how good of a motor you got when you buy one. I can maybe go up 2 degrees and then test it all over again, and I usually record all the numbers down and see the changes, and I usually pick the setting that is brings the poles the closest and I get the most kV out of.
Yep.
And I find a perfect harmony of and that's just inside the motor. So as far as yank and turbo timing and boost timing and retards and stuff, I mean, that there's a lot that goes with this. So between this and the speed control, there's probably 50 or 70 different tuning options and profiles. I want everybody, and batteries a big, we'll get into that. I think it's going to be one of our next segments.
That's a huge part of it.
In another episode, we'll cover batteries, Phantom batteries, lots of batteries, different batteries, all kinds of batteries. But anyway, I forgot what I was going to say now. Thanks, man. I think if anybody's got any questions about the motor, let's go back and take a little look.
We got Vernon Dean. Please explain why a 3.5 isn't good.
It's
run in a street eliminator car.
Okay, so here's what you guys got to remember is a lot of these drag motors, okay, the 2.0s and stuff like that, are they a really high revving motor? Yes, but these motors, yes, they were designed for drag racing. Drag racing that's been around for 20 years. In a solid axle, 2.5 pound prep car that weighs, if I cut this car in half, that's what it weighs, and it has no problem moving that. We're yanking a lot of juice out of the batteries all at once, and we're moving a big load with sticky tires. When I built race cars, I always told people, I learned from my race team owner, he always told me it's not horsepower that breaks axles, it's sticky tires and horsepower. So the 2.0 and the lower turn motors, and I believe the even turn motors probably wouldn't be what we wanted for this. We stick with the odd turn motors being 3 or 4, 5, 5, 5. And from my own personal experience running these cars, and I got to tell you, that car right there, I probably have 3,500 passes on. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, and every time I dip low below a 4.5, I'd either burn something up immediately, or it did not have, it would, the torque curve would go right out the window. So I'm not saying that the 3.5s and the 2.5s and stuff are, I know what you guys are trying to do. You're thinking, you know, like old brush terms with the brushed motors, you know, he's got a 14 turn quad, I'm going to go get a 10 turn single, and it just doesn't work like that. So, you know, from my own personal testing, the actual turn in, you know, and I was one of the people on the helm of the ship that figured this out early, you know, two years ago, and that's why so many people, you probably 99% of people were running 4.5s, and that's something that we started here in the 707. This is the go-to motor to go to, and with my own personal experience, every time I dip below a 4.5, the torque curve, it just wasn't the same car. Always gives me the most jump out of the hole. It winds as high as I want to. It keeps pulling and pulling and pulling. You know, these cars, if we weren't racing 132 feet, we were doing 250 feet, these cars are probably doing 75, 80 miles an hour. I mean, they are freaking moving, dude. So, you know, moving it that fast, the last thing you got to worry about is a canard, right? Yeah, this thing will break your ankle. I mean, this thing's American steel right there, baby. Detroit, Michigan. So anyway, Randy, here's your motor back. Thank you for letting us put some numbers on there. If I could steal that for a minute.
Built Ford Tough with Phantom stuff.
Yeah, you want to break that down for me and set that somewhere safe because it's got all kinds of juice in it.
Thank you. Catch my little joke.
What did you say?
Built Ford Tough with Phantom stuff.
That's right, built Ford Tough with Phantom stuff. Where's my mic? Give me my microphone back.
I can discharge it.
Is this thing on? Yeah, it's on. So I want to talk to you about something tonight. Is that thing on right there or what? I think you should get that going. Another thing that I want to talk about tonight is spoilers. Where to find them and what to do with them. So, again, I've said this before in my shows. Anybody who knows me personally knows that, you know, when I started going to these races 2.5 years ago, I mean, I came out with these big spoilers and they just, I got laughed at. They'll never work. And next thing you know, I'm on the list. And in the last year, heavily, they've been popping up and popping up and popping up. When cars couldn't beat my cars, other people started making spoilers and they still didn't get it. And then they asked about the motors, and then they asked about the speed controls. And next thing you know, we got guys that are all running that fast, which is really, really cool. So, I want to talk about spoilers tonight. I want to show people how to build a spoiler. We're going to build it right here. I also want to talk about something controversial right now.
There's lots of controversy.
Right now. It's been going on.
Yeah, it's been going on. So
You said this was an hour show. We don't have time for that.
yeah. So
Green light's on.
Anyway,
so go for it.
the green light's on. Man, ain't nobody cutting their spoiler down for you. We ain't the ones that let dude race with glue, you know? I mean, there's so many reasons. Anyway, there was a race in Vegas about a month ago. I don't even remember. I don't know. Every day is the same to me. We went there, and or these two went there, and a couple other guys from the 707. And this car with a big spoiler and some canards has been getting hated on the internet ever since. I don't know why. The car is completely legal, and the only reason we can get out of it is that there's a small group of people that just don't like the way the spoiler, that's the excuse they give. They just don't like the way the spoilers give. I've said it before, I've said it again. I'll say it again. And that is, if you think that spoiler makes this car win, you are sorely mistaken, okay? It is so many different things under the hood of these cars. Again, working in like we were talking about with just the motors, in perfect harmony to make these cars work. And I don't just have the trannies figured out or just the motor dynoing figured out. I have it all figured out. That's why they work. So at this point, we have a group of people with the Nprc that have been running the same set of rules for going on 4 years. And I think it's really ironic that there's a race out in the desert that we attend, and we end up beating a certain group of guys, and it was supposed to be friendly, and it's gotten kind of nasty, and it makes me sad. But then, ever since Vegas, this same group of guys has proposed changing the rules about the two things that are the only things that this car had that nobody else had, which was the canards and the big spoiler. And I really want to touch on that. We're going to get to that next week. We're going to talk about it with our race master because he is the one that is our voice here in the 707. It doesn't matter what just Ricky wants or what Randy wants or what Dan wants or what Matt wants or my mom or my rabbit wants. It's about what Gabe listens to and makes a decision about. And I have a long list of reasons of why these rules are not only need to not be changed, but to solidify the fact that the reasons I have to just leave it alone and go about your business is far outweighs anything that you could ever say about a spoiler. Let's start with the first complaint I've heard on the internet. First of all, it doesn't make the cars look real. I don't know if you know this or not, but they're not real cars. They're not. It's a toy car. Okay.
You should have different.
I've said this. Hold on. I've said this before, and I say it again. Okay. If you want something that looks super scale and headlights and turn signals and this and that, and a driver waving at you and he turns when you're turning, dude, go do some crawling. That's not what this was about. This was a certain small set of rules to attract a large amount of people in as fast as we could to a race class that, other than those rules, if you abide by those rules, it's kind of your own artistic work. And one of the things being my artistic work has been my spoilers. There's so many reasons why stepping in all of a sudden. First of all, the number one reason that I care about. Okay. With all the guys in the last year that have followed in our ways in every other state other than California, including California, and especially in the last couple of weeks, we're talking probably 8,000 to 10,000 people that are building big spoilers. So right off the bat, I have 2 pages of reasons. The first being that let's talk about the guys that don't have a lot of money, okay? They've read the same set of rules for the last 3 years. They finally decided to build a car. It takes money to change all that over. So because Ricky came with my spoiler that was totally fitting the rules to a Vegas race and those people didn't win, they get all hurt and try and change the rules to try and slow us down. That's not going to slow us down. And, let's talk about our 10 cars or 12 cars between the 3 of us. You're talking $500 in Lexan and 15 hours worth of fabrication time to outfit all these cars to abide by a rule change that's not necessary and has been the same for forever. It's just there's so many reasons why it just needs to stop. The spoilers are not what's winning the race. There are some guys that don't understand fabrication and they make big, granted, I will say that even though I don't have a problem with a guy that doesn't know what he's doing, at least he's trying, and he makes a big old high spoiler on the back of his car because he doesn't know any better. That's his version of trying to make his car work like one of ours. Well, I'm not going to knock him for it. I'm going to walk over. I'm going to say, hey, man, if you did this and did this, it might work a little bit better. If he takes that advice, that's cool. If not, that's cool too. But I'm not going to change a race circuit because of it. It's not going to happen. Another thing is Roar or any other huge affiliation doesn't have one representative that steps in and hears all the race master stuff and comes up and says, this is the rule, okay? You have a couple guys over here that want to change the rules for all these guys, and all these guys don't want to change. Everything's fine. We just keep going with what we're going, and they won't back off. And now they're getting other people involved that they think are going to have bigger voices because they're associated with companies. And that's just not how it's going to work. There's 2 sides to this story. I think that the drama that I've seen over the stupid spoilers in the last couple of weeks that's one of the reasons I'll come out and say it to the whole world right now, was me selling the Ghost, the number 1 winningest car in Nprc in the world, the most raced car, the most known car is this car right here. I was never going to sell this car, ever. This is going to be sitting on my shelf collecting dust when I'm 60 years old. And I sold it. You know why? Because the drama was getting too thick. I don't need it. I got a job. I got 2 kids. And I just don't need it. I built a car based on the rules. And I've been racing it for almost 3.5 years. And ain't nobody ever had a problem with it until we went out and beat a certain set of guys that are complaining about it. So as far as the canards go, I'll tell you right now, when I was 13 years old, I had an RC10. Anybody who's out there knows what an RC10 is. It's an aluminum chassis RC10, okay? And, this right here. No, let's do this one. So this right here. solid. Okay, this is an aluminum car. I had a buddy named Pat George, and we were running in the same street. And I came flying around a turn. I had a Tony Nessinger Signature Series 14 turn quad, so he was probably doing 40 miles an hour with a 7-cell. And I hit his ankle, and I broke it in 3 places. You don't got to worry about these, okay? First of all, if anybody wants to try and make a rule of these, cutting somebody's ankle and being a danger, how about the danger of the guy that's standing in the middle of the track that got cut by him? Because I never cut nobody with no canards. That's just silly. The body's still covering the tires. That's not doing anything but making my car work. And those two, especially after last episode, I showed people how to make them. Dude, everybody's sending me pictures. Thanks for the advice. Look at my canards, And you're talking thousands and thousands of people. So this small amount of people that just don't like our wings because they're ugly, which I really think is an excuse masked for the fact that some of them didn't do so well as they thought they would do in this race. I'm sorry, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. That doesn't give anybody any right to call anybody names on social media. It doesn't give anybody right to belittle anybody or talk to them in a down demeanor. I've actually had to block 1 or 2 people because it was just too much. I don't need to talk to you. If that's how you're going to talk to me, I do so much in the sport. I help people. We give chassis away and gears and tires and motors, and it really makes me sad that a bunch of guys want to step in and throw so much hate. Guys that before all this happened, I looked up to because they were, I looked up to them. They were hardcore racers, and I wanted to do in this sport what they've done in theirs, and it's just turning out that it's just a real letdown. So this is not going to change for those guys that are out there. I've had 2 or 3 people this week go, dude, I'm new into this. I want to build a car. I don't know. I'm hearing these things. I see the rules on your webpage you brought me to. And I'm reading those. And what I'm building is abiding by those. And now all of a sudden in the last couple of weeks, I'm seeing all these rule changes. I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about not building the car. So that right there is another reason. Changing the rules this late into the game, or what I like to call in this specific situation, setting the goalpost back, is doing nothing but repelling people away from the sport. And it's not going to happen because there's not one guy at one organization that speaks for everybody in the country that's running this specific class with this specific rules. And until that happens, no one small group of people is going to talk for everybody. It's just not going to happen. So I won't stop leaning on that. I'll always keep it professional and be kind to people and help the next person in line. But I'm not going to stop pushing back on that subject. And we're going to go over this with my race leader, our race master Gabe next week. So we'll put this to rest right now. But I literally have 2 pages. I want to get into the spoilers for the guys that have been contacting me all week, and I didn't have time. We're going to build a spoiler tonight, right? Okay,
yeah.
So let's do it. Let's put some smiles on. Randy, I want one from Rich. I want one from Matt. Okay, so let's put the old ankle buster away.
Or knuckle buster in your case.
So if you could be so kind as to hand me all the Lexan products and the rest of, hold on, let's turn this thing. There we go. If we could get everybody in the room to stand up, there really is like 400 people behind you. It's crazy, I swear to God. I know. Hey, come on, we're trying to get the show going. Jesus. So what we're going to do is we're going to show people the actual numbers of our wings and the measurements of our wings. And we're going to do that. Why don't you have Ricky show you a little bit about this wing. Tell us about this wing.
Tell us about this wing. It's made out of 040 Lexan.
Why 040?
040 is durable, strong. You don't get any flex out of it. It from the back of the body to this point here, it's 3 inches. So technically, that's legal.
Hold on a minute. Let's. If it was that long, it's legal. Okay. If it was that long, if it was this long, if it had these on it, it's legal. Okay. As long as your body covers all 4 tires, and it's not a buggy, it's not a golf cart, it's not an ATV. It's a body that's made for a short course truck or a 8-scale buggy. It's about the same size. A lot of guys use 8-scale buggy conversion bodies, not the actual buggy body. As long as you have a body that covers all 4 wheels, you are legal. The rules for the last 4 years do not say anything about spoilers, canards. We might as well ban. Let's go show the camera I got a driver on board. You guys want to talk about scale? Hold on, go around to the driver's side. Up. There you go. Like Dan Soder. Hey, Dan, if you're watching, what's up, bro? I love you.
Emma, eyes on the road.
Yeah, eyes on the road, Emma. Jesus Christ. So, we're going to walk you through. I actually thought of doing this segment last night. And because there's a lot of guys out there that, again, like the one guy that runs the big spoilers here in town, he doesn't really know how to work with Lexan, and I'm not knocking him for that. We were, when I was 11, I didn't know how to work Lexan. I've been doing it for a long time. So sometimes I make stuff look easy. If anybody needs any help, swing on by the laboratory and we'll get it built for you. So what we're going to start here with. We got a bunch of stuff to go over with. Let's actually move the ghost out of the way because it's casting shadows, which is weird because I didn't think that ghosts cast shadows.
They don't. They fly.
So what I've done is I've started out with 040 on some of my faster race cars. That's actually the side fins are 040, but the come on, Dan.
Spoiler.
The actual spoiler deck is 030. Why do we do that? Why can you do 030 on everything? Because it's lighter. As thin as you can go without it bending in places you don't want it to bend is always going to be lighter, and the lighter the better, because that's the name of the game. Why? Because they're not real cars. They're RC race cars, right?
Toy cars.
They're toy cars. Let's remember that, toy cars. So we're going to go with this later, but what I'm going to do first is, Randy, explain to me what I've done here. I've taken a raw sheet of Lexan, and what have I done?
You mapped out where you want your spoiler deck to be, the width, length.
Okay. What else did I add on top of that?
Looks like you got a couple bins for your angles, for how high you're gonna put your angle coming off the back deck up.
Okay. So let's show them this. Here is the original 1.0 Ghost body, and it does not have a spoiler on it. Okay. So, like I said before, there's a lot of bodies out there that come with spoilers. There's a lot of guys out there that build spoilers for their cars. If your spoiler is only this wide right here, okay, you're only using it through turbulent air. So what I suggest is you go to the most up point, widest part of the car. You want to go absolutely as wide as you can. Now, I know some of the bodies have certain curves back here, but we'll get into that and how to do that in a minute. This body's not too bad. It has a little flare up at the sides, but it's very, very flat in the back. And if you notice, so if you have a spoiler where the side dams, no matter how big they are just behind the rear window or the cab of the vehicle, well, anything that's back there, say around this area where my fingers are, that's called spoiled air. That air is doing all kinds of things because it's been kicked up and over and sucked back in. And that's nasty air. You don't want that. And the reason why you'll see on some of the real drag cars that there's a second dam right here is because what you want to do is you want to channel this clean air coming by the cab, and boom, you see how it grabbed my finger? And you don't want it to go this way into the spoiled air, so you have another dam here, and it'll stay in that channel, and that's where your downforce on either side is being made. So that's why we want to run the wider you can make your dams. I see the guys run the pickup trucks, and I've seen some really cool wings on or spoilers on them. The only problem is they only make them as wide as the bed and their step sides. So what I would do is I would cut out a wing that would be as wide as the step side, and the top deck of it would actually jog back in, and it would all be one piece, but it would be as wide as the step side, not just the bed of the truck, because that's just spoiled air back there, especially with a pickup. So,
First truck I saw with a spoiler was my El Camino.
yeah, but that wasn't a step side,
No.
and you know what I mean by the step side.
Oh, yeah.
So imagine if I had this sticking out, okay, and I just made a wing here. No, I want to build a spoiler that bolts on here with a bend, and then comes up and bends flat, and then has this like maybe like this, and all ties together. And every body's different, so I can't explain that exactly for your body. This is what I run. I run the 66 Parma Baja muscles from Parma. So let's move on. So once I get the overall width, now what I'm trying to do on this specific body is I want to take tip to tip. Okay, I want to go exactly as wide as I can, because this curve right here, there's not much I can do about that curve. So if I mount something on it without putting a bend in it, it's just not going to be right. I've tried it. So if you notice, tip to tip is 10 1/4 wide. Okay. which if you do the math with all the bend downs to hold the spoilers and the thickness of the spoiler and stuff, it all dwindles down ×2 for each side. It dwindles down. My max width is going to be, with all the parts put together, is going to be a max width of 10 inches, okay? So what I've done is I've taken a piece of Lexan. This is a sheet of 040 that you can get from any of your local hobby shops. I think this one was purchased at Jake's Performance Hobbies in Rotor Park, California, 707-586-3375. And
I think there was a shortage of Lexan after they saw that car.
there
in
was.
Vegas.
People were saying, dude, where do you guys get the Lexan? I can't find any Lexan anywhere. There was so many people building spoilers and love the look of the spoilers and how they're making the cars faster across the country, that there's actually people are having, and I'm not talking one or two, I'm talking 15 or 20 people in the last week are going, dude, we can't get you freaking Lexan. So stand by. I don't know where it's made from. It might be a couple weeks. It's from China. So anyway, what I did is I was nice enough to go ahead for you guys and build this one and see what I did was I got my 10 inches. Okay, can you see that? From this line to this line is 10 inches. Well, why did you do that? Why did you center that, Dan? Well, because you got to remember, this is really easy to do. I've been out here late at night and just say really tired. And I'll forget to take this measurement into consideration. And what this is going to be is this is going to be a fold down for the side dam. That's what the 2 holes are, is for the bolt holes. So same thing front and rear. So this right here is what's going to bend downward to bolt onto the back of the car. And this little one up here is going to be the last little fling at the end of the spoiler up in the air. And you can see that right here. See that little fling right there? And the rest of it's under here. It's bent. That's the other little portion that bends down and bolts in, okay? Now, there are a couple bodies. Hold on, this is the Ghost 2.0. So when I got this, and I first of all, for me, I know a lot of guys like them. They're cool looking cars. I used to build. People ask me, well, what kind of race cars do you really build? Real cars. I built Fox Body road race cars for Griggs Racing, and so I've always loved Fox bodies. I've owned 11 of them, and this was a paint job. I was really excited for this body to come out. It didn't work for my setup though, and I after a couple of rolls here, you could see I said, that's it. I'm going back to the other body. But anyway, this body was in a shape that if you notice, this bend down, all I did was extend it out, and I didn't bend it because it's bolted on the top of the deck lid. And if you notice, that's a nice smooth transition. Now granted, this thing's been shoved around and it's bent 4 ways before Sunday, so it looks like hell right now. There's bolts missing out of it and stuff. But you can kind of see how that one's put together. And same thing on the outer parts. There's just bend downs for the dams on the side. Okay. Now when we're talking about your bend downs, you guys, I've seen a couple guys. You always want to bend these down. You don't want to bend these up. Okay. And what I'm talking about, again, I made 2 of these, so I've already taken one to work and sheared it out and used a metal brake to make the brakes in the plastic. And the reason why I make a brake, where's this ply? Oh, there, the duck bills. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So anyway, for an average wing, there's 4 bends you're going to have to do, okay? So you're going to have, well, for my body anyway, unless you're going straight onto the back of the deck because the body's shaped like that. This right here is going to bolt where, Ricky?
Right to the trunk.
Right to the trunk. Boom, to the back of the car. And this one, Randy, right here, what's that for?
To kick up at the end.
It's a kick up at the end, okay. So the only 2 bends that aren't in it, but you can see the lines for, are the side bends for the side dam tabs is what those are. Okay, there's going to be holes drilled in those, and we'll get how to put a side dam on there in a minute. But what I'm going to do is, because these are short, is I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend it with my duck bills. Okay. And it doesn't always bend a perfect 90, and that's what I want here. So I'm going to bend it by hand and then bend it back a little bit and kind of look at it. You can work it a little bit. And if you notice that is just a perfect 90 down so that when something bolts to it, boom, like that, look at that nice smooth transition in there. You see that? It's nice smooth airflow. There's nothing impeding the airflow through there, okay? So once we get this all bent, oh, that's not going to work. What we're going to do, let me 90 this out real quick.
And
And where can somebody buy that?
This what?
Your tool you're using.
Oh, this guy. This is called a duckbill vice grips, and the reason why is if you guys notice it, the rest of it is like a vice grip. So I can open the jaw and it'll clamp and stay there by itself. The duckbills are most commonly just a regular pair of pliers that don't lock, but they have the same kind of thing. Now, for small bends, I recommend this. If this is all you can get a hold of, it's all you can afford, then you can take your time and you can make a long bend with it. But if you're not super, super careful, you'll have a slight jog in the straight line. And if you can look down that straight line, okay, if you can look down that straight line, that is just a perfect bend. And the reason why it's perfect and doesn't have any jogs or variations is because I used a really wide one that bent the whole thing at once instead of breaking it up with these. But this, because when I bend this down, if I was on a long one, if I was on a long break, it would hurt this bend that's already there. So what I had to do is I had to start this corner at that line, and then when I bent it down, it tucked behind this one, okay? So that's what the little ones are for, is to do little bends that are tricky, and there's, and really think about this out. This is one of those things, it's just like sheet metal when I used to build real race cars. If you're not thinking all the time, you can get a piece with an hour into it and go, oh crap, I just bent that the wrong way. Or, dude, I just made 2 right hands of this. Or like the canards. Remember I told you guys the canards, or you get them to, they're the same all the way through the process of fabricating them. And then they get to the last part where you bend them, and that's where you have to pay attention and make a left and a right. Well, there's a lot of things like that with this. And can you unbend it? Yeah, but it's never going to be the same. You might as well go and start over. So what I do with this, when you get to this point, is I'll drill a series of holes in here. Now, what I do... Again, if you can show the back of the ghost here, if you notice, I don't put just a straight line of holes. You notice how they're staggered. They start both on either side, down low, or up high. I can't see over there, so whatever they are. And then they do this. So they're both high or low, and then high, and then low, then high. Then what's that doing is it's spreading the bolt pattern, and that's kind of how I use it. I've never had a problem with it. I've never had one rip off, and they're really, really, really sleek and true like that. So once you get some kind of whatever you want to come up with, again, this is all about artistic ability. Any of this is in the rules, so that's where we get to do what?
Make a wing.
We get to make a spoiler. And if you want a spoiler that looks like a head with long hair flying, then build that. It's in the rules. If you think it looks cool, it's your RC car.
Somebody on here, but they're not talking about your car. I heard a lot of trash talk about the wing side dams being so much higher than the roof line on the Ghost car. They really don't look that tall.
They're not.
A straight edge across the roof back to the girty Wickerville. So
if you're gonna do that,
that's what I said.
See, I almost need a carpenter square, something really long.
Just have a look at a side angle of it.
Yeah, so it's not. It's maybe a half inch up above this bottom line right here. I'm right on the roof, okay? And if you guys notice, look at this. Check this out. Oh God, it's got such a big spoiler on it. I don't know what to do with the big spoiler. Well, look, this spoiler, buddy, is 3 inches. It's 3 inches. So I don't know what the big deal is, If some dude doesn't know that and hasn't tested it and doesn't have the money.
I've seen some cars that the spoiler's 6 inches up. Yeah.
You're right. And again, once you go higher than that, you're not getting anything other than adding more weight and breaking up more air.
At a certain point, it's slowing you down.
At a certain point, it's slowing you down. Anything at all that moves through the air, whether it's a spoiler or a wing or a this or a that or a canard or the front of the car or the cab of the car or a wheel sticking out on an open wheel car, anything that has air hitting it is drag. Okay, downforce. The word downforce. So when you have a spoiler up and the clean air comes through and hits it and forces the rear of the car down, you're spoiling the air. Is what you're doing. That's why we call them spoilers. Wings are on airplanes. So anyway, but I will say, we are the Wang Gang. The Wang Gang. Okay, we got dubbed the Wang Gang. So thank you. I know we'll be here all week. Okay, so really quick. Let's say you've built this, okay? You got your dimension here, how deep you want to go. You got, as wide as however it is, the spoiler that you have going around and your beautiful head that's making you want to build it like that. You figure out whether you're going to bend down and go onto the back of the body or come out flat with extra Lexan and mount on the top. And you get this point, you drill your holes through here, okay? Now what these holes are going to do is these are going to, you can see the hole pattern that was there. and you're just going to hold this up. And I actually use 2 of the plastic quick clamps that are up there. And I get it just perfectly centered, and then I get it perfectly flat across the top here, and I'll clamp it there. And once it's clamped, I'll transfer with a good Sharpie. Again, when you're doing layout and stuff, always use a good sharp pen, okay? And I go through and I poke the dots, or as many as I can, around the clamps, and that's going to give me a starting point for the drill so that I know my spoiler isn't sitting on there crooked or isn't shifted to one side, okay? So once this is on the car, you're thinking, well, dude, how do I make that? How did you guys get to this? How do you know that that is the perfect piece that fits the back of the Mustang? How do you know that? Well, I'm going to show you how. So, again, let's waste another piece of Lexan. So, Randy, if I could get you, I'm actually going to get up and come out. This is actually a really easy trick. Yes, thank you. I don't know why I put it right back down there.
Big Canada Dry.
Canada Dry. Okay, so
They're gonna say that you're not wearing
let's get this out here. And if you could come down with me on your knees.
Oh.
Okay, that didn't sound right.
Whoa.
Okay.
There's too many dudes in this room.
So let's say I don't have any, if you could just hold the body from wiggling, Randy. Let's say I don't have any shapes for the car or anything. I don't know how to make it, I don't want to make it so it's cut wrong or the angle right here is wrong. How can I make that as close as possible? Well, here's how I do it. It's kind of a really easy way to do it. If you could hold that right about there. And what I'll do is I'll hold a piece of Lexan up. Now let's say I'm going to pick a starting point. Let's say right here in the middle of the F. Okay, I'm going to put a little line on it. Granted, if this was a brand new body, this would have plastic on it, so I could write on it with a Sharpie. But this is an old body, so let's say I want it there. Okay? So then what I'm going to do is I always want my spoilers to come all the way down, okay? So that they can bend down in the back underneath the deck that goes across. That's your actual spoiler right here, okay? And what that does is it creates the flow by, and it also allows you enough meat here to fold a little tab at the end to triangulate it so it doesn't flop around. We'll get to that in a minute. So there's my mark right there. And then I'm going to go down to the end of this right here, okay? Because that's as long as I want to go. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the body, okay? Well, this is I got the camera on my shoulder. I can't do it from this angle. Hold on. You guys will get the gist of it, even though it's not right, okay? So the angle's about right. Hold on, let me clean this line up. Let me recheck the line. Remember, guys, always measure twice and cut once, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I know Matt's is going to make so much fun of me, but that's okay.
Now get some real scissors.
You always call them mothers.
Things out. What are we doing?
Okay, so let's take what we just did. So again, what I did is I know that when I make my spoiler, it's going to hang over the body, and that's where my stopping point is. It's going to go all the way down to the back of the quarter panel, or to this corner, because you see it 45's up right here. Hold on, Matt, I can't. And between those marks is where I fed my corner. So it was up against this line and down against this line, okay? And that's how I came up with that right there, okay? That one mark. Now, let me show you why this is so important. Okay, so I'm actually smoothing out this really crappy line with my awesome Lexan scissors.
You can't tell me to stop it until say that.
Okay, so why do I say I just wasted a piece of Lexan? Let's try it again.
Did you use those scissors?
Oh, see, I got a little heavy in it. Yeah, so the way I can do that. And granted, I'm not making a whole wing here, but okay, so that's not too bad. That fits the back of the body pretty good, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I already know that this is the bottom, and I already know this is the front. This is what I meant a couple episodes again when we were saying that we were. Would you say cardstock?
Yeah.
Okay. I get these from my mom. I definitely don't get them from work. So the reason why I like these is because this is going to make me a fake pattern of exactly what I want to make, and I'll show you what I mean. So the reason why this is so important is because I'm going to come on here and I'm going to, again, I know this is going to be the end of the spoiler because that's where my line was. I know this is going to be the bottom, so I'm going to line it up just like I did. I'm going to trace the back of the body, okay? Excuse me. So that's the back of the body. Now look what you got. What do you guys got there?
You got blank canvas.
You got a blank canvas to build a cool spoiler the any way that your little heart desires. Anything you want to build. You already got the body that meets the rules. You got the rubber tires that meet the rules. You run a 2S battery. You're abiding by all the rules, but man, you just want to build that spoiler. Let's get her done. So, let's just say, I don't know, what do you guys, tell me, what do you guys want? You guys want something darty and stealthy?
Flames.
You want flames. Okay, so...
I'll let you guys draw because I can't draw.
Look at artistic ability.
Now, granted, because there's so many...
Cutouts, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, what we're trying to achieve here is a flat plane that will cut through the air. And granted, because this has these big waffles, you know, maybe we can make some of these smaller. Whatever. I'm doing it. You know, what time is it? You know, come on.
Might be fast.
Okay, so I'm going to mark the line that I wanted to cut. And I'm going to let
So before you
Randy
do that,
cut it out. Yes.
you were talking about triangulating the back of the car.
We'll get to that.
Spoiler to the back of the
Well,
car.
oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, thank you. High five. You know what? I've actually done that before. I'm
So
like, God damn it, I cut it off.
I
Okay.
cut 3 sets.
So the
and
reason,
screwed one.
again, why my bodies look so freaking big, because from the side, it's got a big old dam on it. But if you notice, the bottom half of the dam is just for this little tab. That little tab right there that's bolted to the body is all I'm trying to get. I need something as far down as I can to bolt it on, because with these bolts here, if it didn't have that where the wing tees, they just do this down the road. They don't hold their form. So what you want to do is when you're all done, so look, you've traced your body, you know how forward your dam wants to go, so how long it's going to be. It's going to be that long. And you know the bottom of the body, okay? You have those 2 dimensions, and you've designed your spoiler, okay, or your spoiler dam. The last thing you want to do is you want to add some kind of little tab in here. So you're not going to cut that out. That's going to have a hole in it, and that's going to bend over and bolt to the back of the body, okay? So if you want to cut that out for me, Randy.
Here, give the lefty righty scissors.
Do you want
straight
Ricky to
lines.
cut it out?
No, I got it.
You don't really cut those.
I adapt and
You
overcome.
can cut something else out. You adapt over.
Adapt and overcome.
So this is these are different ones I've made. This is for Emma's Pink Slash. This is for
Pinky.
my daughter's drag car. If you notice, that's a template for it. This is for the Ghost 3.0. And if you notice, other than the tab, I'll bend the tab out of the way. That is the spoiler for it. Okay. So this is how we're achieving. Now, once you make this, how often can you use this?
Over and over and over.
Over and over and over again. Oh, I'm sorry. I've used this to build probably 4 spoilers already. Best thing I've ever made. Okay, not the best thing.
I want to go back to the question of how these look like they were so much higher than the roof line. So the car is sitting flush level on the ground. Are they really that much higher than the roof line? I think they're pretty.
Well, you gotta think when it's on the ground. It's up in the air like that. So it's the wedge of the chassis.
That's what I'm
Measure
getting
from
at.
the deck lid. You got a tape measure.
When
What is it?
when the
Inch and a
car
half?
or the
It
body
doesn't
is
matter
on
what
the car,
it beats the rules. So
the rake of the car is like this, which is going to make them look higher than the roof line. So when the body's sitting level, they're lower than the roof line.
now,
So-
granted, we have a dude or two out there that's making stuff like that. And you know what?
No. It's like that.
Oh, is it? Okay. If it's like that, you know, if that's what you want to build, man, who am I to say that hey, you know what, you can't run that car because of that spoiler you made? You know, I'm not going to do that, dude. You know, if you can make something that I've never made on my car and come out and whoop my ass with it, I'm going to be at your pit going, hey, man, so where'd you get the idea for that? You know, how does it work? Describe it to me. You know, I'm not gonna call you names for it. I'm not gonna, you know, try and get you banned out of the sport or what you're doing out of the sport for it. And I just think that this is one of the artistic things, you know. Ricky likes the Chevelle bodies, you know. I like the Mustang bodies. He likes the Nova bodies.
I'm a GM guy, so as long as it's GM body, we're good.
You're right. He has a lot of speed controls catch fire. So anyway,
Not one yet.
no. So and you know, these are the things. You know, some guys like to, like me. I just like to run my wheels black. Some guys like to sit there for an hour on each wheel with a silver paint pen and make them look real. Does that look cool?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks cool. Am I going to do it on my car? No, because I get 4 passes on my tires. I'll be here all until next November, you know? So no matter what you're doing in the sport, as long as you are you know, abiding by the rules that have been in place since day one and everybody knows them, then, you know, the rest of it is artistic ability. And I think that's what's actually drawing this. Not only the craze and the adrenaline from being able to get run something, for a lot of these guys, as closest they'll ever get to a street outlaw cars, like Midwest street cars, you know? And then, you know, in that, as long as you abide by the rules, I mean, the rest of it is artistic ability. What do you love? What do you do? What color do you want it? What size do you want the spoiler? What shape do you want it? Do you want
That
flames?
crazy spoiler might draw somebody else in that says, that thing's damn cool.
Yeah,
what do you got going on?
That thing's really cool. Well, I'll tell you what, that just might happen. That happens 25 times a week to each one of us. So
25 times a day.
yeah. So again, I'm hoping. Man, I get so many calls, you guys, and so many messages, and I really do appreciate it. I try and help you guys out. I appreciate all the love that I get out there. It's nationwide. It really is.
People out of the country.
People out of the country. And we're going to keep on doing what we're doing, because what we're doing is illegal. What we're doing is fast. And, yeah.
Illegal.
So,
Illegal.
did I say illegal? It's legal. It's legal.
I tagged Jake when I was watching.
So, anyway, you know, from the size tires, from the type of tires, the brand of tires, to the color of the body, to the kind of body, to the shape of the body, how you cut the body out, how you fold the body, how you make your canards. Maybe you don't like canards. Maybe you don't need them. Maybe you like spoilers. Maybe you like turn signals. You know, maybe you like Hobby Wing speed controls. Maybe you like Tekin stuff. You know, I run Hobby Wing speed controls. You know, we're getting ready to give some family stuff a try. But you know, some guys like Tekin, so run Tekin. You know, I don't care. If that puts a smile on your face come race day, dude, that's what we did it for. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's there for. You know, you're gonna see in the next couple weeks. This guy gets so fast that because right now he's currently 7th on our list, and that was in one race day. He went through 30 guys and make it 7th on the list the first time out. And in the next race day or two, you're going to see this guy up there in the top 3 trying to battle me for my crown. And God damn it, I'm not going to let it go quietly. But if he wins,
give it. He's gonna.
Ricky, what do you think's going to happen if you take my crown after 2 years?
You're gonna come up with some other reason or way to make your car faster,
That's right.
and then
What
you're
am I
gonna
not-
tell.
what
Then
am I
you're
not
gonna
gonna
tell
do?
me.
Well, what am I not going to do?
Cry about it.
That's right.
Be a poor sport.
You know, I'm not going to be a poor sport, dude. So I'm not going to try and make you change your car. I'm not going to single you out. Hey, we got a side dam. So, you know, as outlandish as this is, whose idea was it for flames?
Ricky.
It was Ricky. Yeah, Ricky's.
You've seen my paint jobs; they all have flames on them.
So here's your little tab.
And ugly green
Okay.
windows.
I'm going to bend that in, because what that's going to do is that's going to bolt on the back of the body.
already say that.
And boom, you got a flame side dam. It actually looks kind of bitchin'. That's what should have been on the double car, dude. But what you can do is once you get this and it works, it'll work for both sides. Remember, this is where it, turns into a left and a right. If you build 2 of them just like that, then you're going to have 2 right-hand sides. So you need to build one like this.
Pull the tab the other way.
And one like that for the other side, okay? And then, so once this is on there, okay? Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. So now that we have our complete template made, okay? Now what can I do? Now's the easy part, right? I'm going to take a piece of Lexan, and I'm going to take that flame side dam, and I always want to try and position it in a way that I'm using up as, you know, trying to be as sparing with the Lexan as I can. It's cheap, but it's, you know, it's not free. And I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to trace it. And once I trace it, I'm going to cut it out, okay?
Man, even something without outlandish as the flames, you can maybe even go 060. Since you got the,
you could if you saw this tonight, you're like, damn boy, man, I gotta get me one of those. You know, you absolutely could. You could go the next thickness, so it's not so floppy. This stuff isn't floppy. Here's another thing too: is if you guys notice, we run the front of the spoilers up over the bodies, and what that's for is to smooth transition into the spoiler, and. Sometimes if you use 030 to go lightweight, if your car gets a little out, you'll see the front of it bend over. So if you look at Ricky's car, this is something we do on our cars.
It's got lane.
We just add a little bit of strapping tape in here. On the outside, we got a phantom sticker. And what that does, look, that holds that from flopping over. It can't move. And it's lightweight, and it looks good. So that's what we do on the race cars. So let's say this is your Lexan. I just traced this out. Hold on, just traced this out, and I cut it out. And this is already bolted on the back of the body, and you've gotten it, true, and you've gotten it, centered. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it. And remember, this is going to be clear because it's Lexan. I'm going to hold it up to the body. And I'm going to mark, because these two holes right here will already be there. I'm going to hold this up just perfect with one hand. And with the other hand, I'm going to take the Sharpie and go boop, boop, and mark the outside of this Lexan. Then I'm going to drill these 3 holes, the 2 for the deck and the 1 for this, okay? Then, once that's on, or once that's done, I'm going to bolt it on the car, okay? It's going to be bolted on the car. Once it's bolted on the car, I'm going to take that Sharpie back here, and I'm going to make that one last dot there, and with it already on the car, I'm going to drill right through the body, through the Lexan into the body. And I'm going to make that hole and put a bolt there, okay? And it's that easy. It really is. So now I got a spoiler that looks just like this, dude. It actually looks pretty awesome. We can change it out for another one. This is for a Mustang. Bam. Go status, okay? This is also for the back of a Mustang. Bam. Okay, it's a little shorty one. So that's how easy this stuff is, I've had I want to say hundreds and hundreds, but it hasn't. It's been thousands of people in the last couple of weeks reach out and go, dude, I got to build me one of these spoilers. Where do you guys get the Lexan? What do you guys do? Can you show me how to do it? I have one guy in, I think it's Hawaii, wants me to build him a wing. I'm like, I don't really know how to put a price on that. If you lived here, I'd help you build a wing, So if you guys have anything else to add to this, please jump in.
I think I'm good with it.
This is a portion of it that you have to use your mind, and that's what kind of makes it more of an arts and crafts project, and it really comes from the heart. What do you want to build? What do you want your car to look like?
Don't be surprised if you have a couple hours wrapped up in making those.
Yeah,
for the first time.
I've gotten them down. I've probably made about 25 or 30 of them. I can make one of these from start to finish in about an hour. Expect your first one to be 3 hours. Yep. I mean, these are a labor of love, Why do we spend all that stupid time on a stupid spoiler that some guys just don't like because they're so ugly to them? Because they freaking work and they meet the rules. So I'm not cheating, and I have something that makes my car work awesome, Again, it's not the only thing that makes a car work, but it does help, So let's go to some questions and see if there's anybody out there in the interweb world that has any questions.
We got a shout out from Charleston, South Carolina.
South Carolina in the house.
Show. If it passes tech in a race before and after, no complaints. By the way, you know how much toilet paper you can get for that Lexan.
You can wipe your ass with this, but it'd probably smear it everywhere. It's getting warm in here, huh? What about some more questions?
Somebody said, what is a ratio?
Yeah, hey,
Ratio
I know.
of what?
Hey, I know this is in part of the video, and I'm trying to understand it, but what is ratio?
Well, you got to be a little bit more clear with that. If you're still watching, please chime in. What are you talking about? You're talking about a gear ratio? You're talking about weight ratio? There's something else. I mean, there's ratios everywhere. There's 100% ratio of white guys in this room right now.
There's a good one. How did you figure out the angle for the center section of the wing?
The angle. I played around with it. I think that my angle, God, I'd have to look it up in my notes. I want to say it's 9 degrees. Maybe it's not that much. Maybe it's 7. I don't remember. But this is something, again, that you're going to have to play with. Every wing, if you're not using this Mustang body, you don't do exactly what we just did here, you're going to be building something different, and it's going to work different for that body, and you're going to have to play with it. Another thing you can do, this is really cool for the height. So remember what I said about Lexan? You don't have to heat it to bend it. It's really easy to work with, and you can unbend it a little bit.
He's talking about drive ratio, but because he's saying because with a 25, I'm running to 8.9.
We'll get to that. We'll get to his question in a minute. We're already halfway through somebody else's, so.
It's the same guy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
We're talking about the angle of the center.
The angle of the spoiler, yeah. So when this is bolted on there, and you first put this up right where you want it, and you put your 2 holes in it, what you can do is, let's say I have 2 holes, right? Okay. And those are the 2 holes that I drilled to meet up with these, okay? Well, in the back of the wing, I can put 1 there, and 1 there, and 1 there, and 1 there, and I can take that bolt out and move it to the next one and try it. And I could take another bolt out and move it down or move it up. So even though this is bolted on the back of the body, you can leave this here. I think it's a little bit easier if I show this way. You can leave this front bolt in and take this one out and actually use that as a hinge. And this, even though this is moving too, it will bend with the body. It will stay there. So that's how you can play with that. You know, start it really flat. If you're missing some traction, go up a hole. And then if you want a little bit more, go up a hole. You know what I'm saying? So you really got to play with it. You know, there is no direct answer. You look, guys, we're not just telling you what the cars do or where to buy the cars or you know, what the cars are. We're going way, way farther than that. I think that a lot of our close followers, which is 90% of you, which is a lot of people, kind of are starting to understand that everybody's car is different, and it's more than just that. It's testing it. It's figuring out what works right for your car. So there is no straightforward answer to some of these questions due to the fact that, you know, let's say you like the 69 Dodge Demon or whatever it is, okay, and you want it red, and you put it on there, and you say, well, hey, can you build me one of those? I can't build you one of these. This wing's for a Mustang, you know. If I can get a hold of that body, or you want to ship that body, I can make you a wing. If you just plain and simply don't want to do it, and you just really, really want somebody who's built a ton of them to make a nice spoiler, get a hold of one of us. They'll get a hold of me. We'll pop you out a Lexan spoiler so you can be part of the Wang gang, because it really does work, and I think it looks cool. I think it makes the cars look bitchin', you know?
Looks like a race car to me in that way.
For a small donation.
Here's a car that had really big spoilers. And this was the devil.
Won a big race.
It did win a big race. And I was going to run the race, and there was a bunch of gruff right at the last minute that I was hosting the race and running. So I lent the car to a good wheelman that I knew, Matt Kidd, and he came out and he did what he does. And he, just like Ricky did in Vegas, he took my ideas and my setup and what I worked hard for, and he showed me what I had done with it. He said, you know what, this is what you did, dude. You know, and we won the race. So this actually had, when I started, remember what I said, you want to channel air through here? Well, this actually came down like this and went all the way up to where it almost disappears. And it really channeled air, and it worked really good. This is a little bit bigger. It was more than I needed, so that's why I don't make them like that no more. So if you like the way this looks and you want to build something like this or something that comes all the way down, it does. It did. It looked bitchin'. I mean, the car, it was a good-looking car. And so, you know, again, this is artistic ability. It's whatever you guys want to do. Let's get back to the guy with. I hope I answered that guy's question. I think I was pretty clear that, you know, it's you gotta figure it out for yourself kind of once you build the wing and play with it. You know, this is Lexan. You can make all kinds of adjustments. You know, you got to use your head and figure out how to make it work and adjustable so you can try different things. So. What about the guy with the ratio? What did you say you think he was talking about?
He's talking about gear ratio and things like that.
Oh, maybe running a 25 pinion.
Here's the thing, guys. Do me a favor, move that Coke can out.
No, when he says he was running an 8.9 or a 6.89, he's talking about internal gear ratio, and that's car to car. That's a whole show.
That is a whole show. So what I think what Matt is saying that this guy is asking is, what about internal ratios inside the gearbox? I want them all.
So,
here, at least all the trees. The gears inside the gearbox vary between manufacturer. So if you have a Traxxas transmission and you take those internals and put them into an HR case or a Kermit the Frog case or whatever it is that you want your gears in, it's still a 272, I
Off
think.
the top of my head, I don't know the mathematical equation, but it's gears times gears.
Correct.
divided by
We can,
gears.
again, that's a whole nother
No,
story.
but that's his question. Exactly.
The Proline transmission, what we recommend when you start leaning on the cars with the stuff and equipment we're going over with, it has the same internal output gear ratio that the Traxxas transmission has. It's the same size gears, the same teeth gears, but it's just a stronger unit. As far as I get this a lot, I see it a lot, and sometimes as nice as I am, and I always want to give somebody the answer, these are race cars. You got to figure some of this stuff out. And the number one thing that I want guys to go figure out is people go, hey, well, I'm running a transmission and this and that motor, but I'm running an 82 tooth spur gear and a 23 tooth pinion. What pinion should I run because it's getting a little warm? I said, you know what? Here's what I recommend. You go down and support your local hobby shop, and you buy a set of pinions around where you think you should be. So let's say you're running a 90 tooth spur and a 20 tooth pinion, okay? And it's getting a little warm. So I would buy 2 pinions above that, a 21 and a 22, and say 3 below that, a 19 and 18 and a 17. Then you have a set of gears. Then you can go do some testing. Then you can figure out what works for your car. I mean, these cars are not the same. Ricky's car, the Ghost, he's running 1 gear ratio. That car weighs just under 5 pounds. It's more of a heavier car. My car up there is damn near 4 flat. It is so light that it doesn't take as much to get rolling, so I can do different things with the gear ratios. Go down and support your local hobby shop. 90% of these were purchased at Jake's Performance Hobbies, I think, except for this tree. And here locally is our local hobby shop, and I supported them and got my gears, and now I can figure out my stuff. This right here comes with 12 gears, odds and evens. Between the gears and the tree, I think it was $50. So $50 or $45, and I got all of that right there. Now I can go test. I can use these on my off-road cars. I can use these on, whatever. You can't just... I don't know how to say that nicely because I don't want to tell anybody, hey, I'm not giving those kind of handouts.
So what I can say is when I first got into the no prep thing, I came to Dan. We got my speed control, my motor. First question out of my mouth is, what do I put for pinion and spur? And he says, go by this range, figure it out. And he said, you will thank me for doing that. And I kind of looked at him and I walked out of here and I'm like this, he wouldn't even tell me what to run. And now I have it figured out, and I've actually changed some gearing on this car from what he had, and won Vegas. I mean, I had to learn it all by trial and error.
It's learning one. If I don't give you the answer, then it's my race car. I'm tuning it. If you want to, at the end of the day, win a race and say, you know what, I want, like I do, I can go out and say every race I ever won was because I worked hard, I put the money, the time, the sweat, the blood, the tears into it. I went out and I did that all on my own. I only have myself to pat on the back. Well, if you have people start giving you information like that, then it's really not you tuning your race car. So here's what I'm getting at. If you do this and you go buy a couple pinions and you figure it out for yourself, then at the end of the day, you'll understand it. And if you understand it, then you learned it. And if you learned it, that's knowledge, and knowledge is power. And the more knowledge you know in this, the more powerful you're going to be on the track. Plain and simply. Wouldn't you say, guys?
Yep. Can never have too much knowledge.
Yeah, how many pinions do you think you got in your arsenal?
At least that many.
Okay.
Yeah. At least.
There's probably 60 pinions here.
At least that many 48-page pinions.
Yeah, and I have others too. I have 64, which is a different size tooth, and I think I even have some Mod 1 and Mod 8 and stuff like that floating around for various, 8-scale buggies and stuff. And so really, guys, as much you guys got to figure this out. So again, if you're running an 86 and a 25 tooth pinion, okay, let's say hypothetically, guy says I got an 86 tooth spur, which is the big gear, and I'm running a 25 tooth pinion, and it's getting a little warm, and it just doesn't have the balls I thought it would have. I'd say, you know what, go down a tooth or two. But that's stuff that you got to figure out. I'm not going to say, well, you should use a 22 because that's just, I don't know your car. So, that's let's take another question.
There's a guy that was says what gearing do you run in the 4.5? We just went over that. I remember you guys talking about slippery eliminators. Can you give me your thoughts on that again?
From what I've noticed is a lot of the slipper eliminators are aftermarket. Granted, there's a lot of Chinese and Japanese companies that make a lot of aftermarket cool stuff out of aluminum. We've all seen it. We all own some of it. The billet stuff that they can do with micro billet and five axis billets or lathes CNCs right now. It is just phenomenal. I mean, we've come a long way in the last 20 or 30 years. But from what I've seen with the slipper eliminators is a lot of them are cheaper and they're made as an aftermarket novelty item, and there's always some slop, there's always some problem. You can't get the right screws and they scrape the motor plate or they have wobble to them, or if you can find one on the market and that runs in your car again, then by all means, if that's what your heart is set on, go run one. We personally do what?
For what?
For slippers.
I lock mine down.
Stereo. We lock them down.
down.
Again, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Relying off a slipper eliminator is doing two huge things. It's adding heat and wear to the car instantaneously, and in doing that, it is the second thing. It's adding inconsistencies in the launch. So if you get your slipper eliminator to not blow your tires off, and that's how you're tuning the car, that might work good for 2 or 3 hits. But then that 4th and 5th hit, all of a sudden, because it's worn a little bit, it's going to slip a little bit more, and you're going to be losing more and more power. We don't want to lose power. We want to harness power. I want to have so much goddamn power that I got to take a little bit out of it because the road won't handle all that power. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have all that power and let it just go right out the window with a slipper clutch. So we run them locked and we tune for that.
I'm going to add on to that. There's a guy, I'm not going to drop his name, but he's from Oklahoma, and I think he learned the hard way in Vegas.
What's her name?
And he burnt up his slipper clutch. But cool dude, and hopefully he learned on that and makes his car faster.
Lock the slippers down. Even when I was 3 years ago, when I was running I would say a Traxxas type transmission, but it was all HR'd out and sealed diff and Robinson gears, and it was all tricked out. The slipper clutches I would run locked. I don't know if I'd want to rely on a Traxxas slipper clutch because they're made out of really not precision aluminum pieces, cast aluminum pieces.
And there's only like 3 little pucks in there that hold it, right?
Yeah,
That's
that is a fine tuning option. You don't base the car and how the car launches and what the car does on the track around the slipper clutch. The slipper clutch is a fine, just like if your car's going hard right. You watch our first video on February 7th of 2020. That has to do with wedge and the preset on the back of the shock springs, okay? But once you get that dialed in and the car is just kind of slowly veering, it's doing the same thing, that's when you go to the finer adjustment with the opposite tweak with the wheelie bar. And it's the same thing with a slipper clutch. A slipper clutch is a last topping on the cake to do a fine little adjustment for a certain track, mainly used in on-road, off-road races and stuff like that. For drag racing, man, you want to be full tilt. I've seen a lot of guys lock their slippers down, but they say, man, I roll into the throttle. I'm like, well, why? Why are you rolling into the throttle? So you're going to launch with me with a heavy hitter car like we got, and you're going to be, at 5 feet out, you're going to be at 20% on the radio. If 5 feet out, I'm gonna be at 40,000 RPM. I mean, I'm gonna be shooting for the moon. So, get rid of the slipper clutch. If you guys want to eliminate it, and you can find a good part that doesn't have wobble and stuff in it, it's got some true to it, it's precision, then go ahead and use it. But we for the main part, we put all the parts together in the slipper, and we just tighten the nut until they don't spin, so there's no spin. So
lock down your slipper and adjust your suspension to get your car to launch straight.
Yeah, and you know what? A little tire spin. All these cars. None of them dead hook, okay? And you don't want a dead hook, even in real racing, because when you have a dead hook, you get tire fold. And if you get tire fold, that just throws the chassis all out of control. So a little, that is our slipper clutches a little bit. Our cars will take off at full tilt, and they'll hop up and launch, but for the first 5 feet, they have a little wheel spin to them until they get going, and then they take off, So let the car do that. Don't use a slipper clutch. Use softening values in the speed controls to help you get on it fast, but it kind of gives it to it slowly. Play with that kind of stuff instead of slipper clutches, because that's going to be more consistent. It doesn't change. Anything else?
Nope, not that I've seen.
No, I don't think there's any other pressing questions.
Green lights on, questions, people.
Questions. Hey, that's a good thing. When we're ready for questions, we turn the green light on. I actually want to show a car off here. We were talking about, hey, there's that Canard I built. I want to show a car off. So like I said, I've been doing this since 1986. I'm not a big show off, but this is something I'm really proud of. It's in plastic. It'll be in plastic until I'm 60 or 70, and Emma will be all grown up, and maybe by then it'll be worth enough to buy her a real car or something. I don't know, but what this is this is an original 1988 Gen 2 A-stamp Cadillac. So Associated started in 1984 in what's the name of the first building? The Ettinger Lane or Ettinger Drive, and that was the where Associated started when they were smaller. And in the first year or two, they got so big they had to move to a bigger complex that's when it went to the Cadillac Drive or something like that. So that's how we know the chassis. This is a Cadillac Drive after they already moved into the big building. It's an A-stamp RC10. It's painted by Andy, who is period correct. It was painting bodies back then. It's just a beautiful car. If you can see in the light, it's all been custom powder-coated green. It's really, really pretty. I'm actually going to take the body off and show everybody because it's even more exciting inside. The cool thing about this car, the only thing that's not period correct, even though they had them back then, these are repops, is the wheels. The wheels are you just billet aluminum. Again, you know what we can do with 5-axis these days. So this car is not only all original with period correct parts, but it also has period correct electronics in it, all brand new, except for the servo. Servo's used. It was very expensive. It took a long time because I wanted to go back to when Novak started too, around the same time, you know, the racing started in the 80s, and I wanted to get the biggest models. I got the big receiver that Novak made. I got the T1X, which was the big racing speed control back then. It has an original 1989 or 90 green machine in it. I have a bunch of other brand new motors that are in the boxes, like my Joel Johnson stock, which is I'm really proud. Is it? I don't know where it is, but it's my Joel Johnson stock is just is awesome. It has the MIP transmission in it. If you can look really closely, you can see all the carbon fiber shock towers. It's just a really beautiful car, and I'm really there it is. This is my. Let's open it up, shall we? It's really old. This is from like 1987, so this is probably older than a lot of you guys out there. Now, what this is a brand new, never been run, Joel Johnson signature series stock motor. And this was one of my first really, cool race motors back in the day, probably in like 80, 87, 88. This came out. I'm actually friends on Facebook with Joel Johnson. I was like, wow, he's badass. We're not worthy.
Oh, we got another question.
Oh, we got another question. Awesome.
It says if you add a lot of preload to the opposite side and it's still pulling in the same direction, where should you look next?
I would look at irregularities in the build. I would look at maybe the bottom of the shocks being in the wrong hole, or the top of the shocks being in the wrong hole.
Drag somewhere.
So one thing I noticed building the taller, like Emma's car, it's got the taller plates compared to the...
No, the other one down there.
That one.
This?
Yeah.
Yep. So I don't know what kind of chassis you're running, but one thing I've learned, this was one of my chassis. I'd put the car together, and it might be leaning on, I don't know, something here, and I'm tightening these screws down. Well, the whole chassis was twisted.
Chassis set.
So what I was learning is it wasn't leaving right. So then I got advice from our Jake at Jake's Performance Hobbies, set the car on something neutral, loosen all these screws up, and let the chassis reset and level itself out, and then just go along lightly without any kind of twist on it.
Pattern.
It's really cool that you're bringing that up. Now, when I got into sedan racing a little bit a year or two ago, Matt told me that. He says after every run, you got to have a block, something that's perfectly true, and you set the chassis on it, and you loosen all the bolts to the top deck. Whether you hit something or not, the car twists. Okay, that's what it does. Well, if it twists hard enough, it can stay there sometimes. So what you do is you put this thing on a block that's perfectly smooth, a piece of marble, something really fine that nothing else is hitting it but the chassis. So if an A-arm is hitting it,
That
it's
way
too
you don't
wide.
have to take the tires off. Otherwise, you just take the tires off. If you don't have access to something like that, take the tires off and just lay it on something completely flat and do the same thing.
Correct. And what you want to do is you want to take the top deck of the bolts and you want to loosen them all up. And once they're all loose, push it down so it's nice and even, and everything's sitting on whatever it's sitting on, nice and perfect all the way around. It's all neutral, and then tighten up the bolts. Now, what I would normally recommend, what I have found, is that when I tighten the bolts, I like to start in the center, almost like a valve cover, and I do a cross pattern. I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. And then that just, and Matt, when these guys are doing big time on-road racing and those cars are really tweaking, they do this every single race. They bring the car back, they clean it, they change the battery, they redo this, they resauce the tire every 5 minutes. Yeah. So
and I think the same would apply even on like a LCG, the rear shock tower, if it's crooked at all.
Like it's the same thing you're saying we do. So if you do the top and it's still tweaked, do the bottom and the top and your shock towers, things like that. There's lots of things like you were saying an hour ago. It's the whole equation of everything.
What I think, let's sum it up with this, Matt. If the guy's adding preload or wedge, so the car's going right, and he's adding left wedge, and it's not doing anything, it's still doing the exact same thing, and you're not noticing it, then there is something mechanically wrong with the car. Something is tweaked,
something's bent,
or something on one side is up on a spacer, bolted to the chassis, and the other side is down and sucked down. There's something wrong with that car that's being overlooked. If it was here, we'd all get dive in here and cut it apart and go, there it is, but
it could be something simple as a hinge pin's bent.
Could be something as simple as the bearing carriers in the rear are loose and sloppy.
Your bearings or your one bearing stuck. It could be lots of things.
I think badass.
The bag?
Over here.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, so I just wanted to show off this car. This is one of my pride and joys.
It's the whole equation. It's making sure your bearings are good, everything, your hinge pins.
Right down to building the car. Before you bolt the shock on a car, work the A-arm. Hold it up and let it go whomp down. If it slows down or stays up, if it slows down or stays up an A-arm without the shock, then something's holding it up. Either a burr, a plastic burr, or a bent kingpin or something like that. So
could be camber, one's off, one's straight. Could be anything.
Someday that's going to get a nice case built for it. So if there's any other questions, let's look one last time.
Green lights on.
Green lights on. Questions?
Should we tell people about the
Dennis
lights?
Coleman, that Joel Johnson Signature Series motor was great. Dirt oval motor. So I think it's the one I learned how to twist comms on.
Huh?
That wasn't a question, it was a comment.
It's a comment.
Yeah, that's a cool comment. He's an old school OG RCer and awesome. Yeah. Well, I wanted to give another shout out to Phantom Racing Products. If you don't have a Phantom motor or Phantom battery, go get you a Phantom something. Put it in your car. Go win some races. I'm also having a lot of guys contact me and ask me about certain things that were covered in specific segments in other episodes, prior episodes. This is episode 5. The first one that we did started on February 7th, and we covered chassis basics, do's and don'ts, and what else did we cover?
Can I cover one thing?
Mainly chassis.
Chassis?
Different chassis types, different setups, different shocks.
So if you want to know some suspension, you haven't seen episode 1 on February 7th, you can find it on the Sonoma County Nprc page.
Possibly where you're watching this one from.
Probably, yeah.
Right where you see
Well,
it now.
here's the thing: is if we had 75 viewers, and in doing the show, it's been viewed 200 times or 300 times. By the time I wake up tomorrow morning, this show will have 10,000 views. So I have no idea how it's getting out there, how far it's going.
People do watch parties.
Yeah, a lot of people just see Daniel Judd on there, and they contact me and go, "Hey, where can I see the rest of your videos you were talking about?" So, episode 2. What was episode 2? Was that the one that me and you did it without him?
It was Valentine's Day.
It was Valentine's Day, and he couldn't come. What did we cover?
What did we
I
cover?
think we're gonna have to watch it.
Yeah. Was that balancing
tires.
and gluing? And
Balancing tires, yeah, and gluing.
Yeah, I
I
watched.
was talking
Yeah.
about scales for preload. That's what guys asking about preload. The scales are how you know if your car's really off balance. Things
Yeah.
like that too. It helps.
I think
a lot.
that's gonna even to bust that out and set it up. It's gonna
No,
take
I'm not
10
saying
minutes.
to set it up. I'm just saying to mention it.
Yeah, there's other. So just like we have the products,
like we do, we'll hold just a tool and lift the front wheels and see which comes off first. That's the scales are more precise, but your eyeballs tell you most of the time.
So just like we did the motor tonight, and we had that $100 tool by SkyRC that told us the actual numbers. There are tools for all kinds of stuff. There are chassis scales, and there's motor actual dynos. There's dynos with loads. There's all kinds of electrical equipment out there you can buy to test some of this stuff. So again, this is a really good way to check all kinds of stuff. Corner weight, overall weight of the car, proportioning from front to rear, all kinds of different stuff. And just like a real race car, this is 4 miniature scales that actually sit underneath the car, under each tire, and it breaks the car down into quarters and tells you what everything's weighing. And it's a really cool product. Again, made by SkyRC. I think we need to reach out and get a sponsorship by them, right?
They do make some good stuff.
SkyRC actually makes some really cool stuff. So if you don't know who SkyRC is, check out on the interweb or ask around at your local hobby shop and see if anybody's got any input or any products So those are the chassis scales. They're really cool. So any other questions?
No, I don't think anything else.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Anybody need a start light?
So Ricky Bellotti is offering these start lights. They are $150 plus shipping. It does not include shipping. There's no haggling on the price.
Includes the LiPo, everything ready to run.
Comes with the clicker.
It's remote control. Works from wherever you want. All LED. That is a 3-cell LiPo.
And let me tell you, we used one of these up in 707, and Gabe was telling me the other night that he's charged that battery pack at the beginning of last summer, and it's still working. So, as you can see, gentlemen, go on the light. Boom, it's on. This is what we use. It's a really, really cool way to do it.
Folds up so you can hang it on the wall.
Comes apart easy, so if you have any kind of electrical problems in the future,
you can. It's easy to take apart and ship it. Pretty simple to put together.
We'll guarantee it for free from defects for the first year. Yeah, we can do that.
Yep.
Totally.
And it's on a remote control, so you don't have any cords to run.
So if anybody wants, somebody's got here's another thing. Our race master Gabe is going to come next week, and we're going to go over the segment he wants to step into. He's actually really proud of us for a show. We've gone from 400 people to almost 800 people in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We're getting thousands of views. You guys, I've gone through it over and over and over again, the feedback we're getting. But there's a lot of guys out there that are just racing in parking lots, and they want to know how to reach out to people, how to start an Nprc club in their neck of the woods, so that they can start maybe doing what we're doing here. And this is a really easy, cheap way to get a fair timing system in. And it a lot of people are using them. We've used this one since day one. So.
Apparently, I don't smile enough.
You just got resting bitch face. So, again, I want to say thank you to all our sponsors. We got Troy at Phantom, great products. Steve at RCRI, which is RC Racing Innovations. If you have not checked their site out, go check their site out. That's what our cars are. Those are the chassis we're running. They're the only things we'll run. They're just the hottest things in the market. So there's a lot of chassis out there. I've owned maybe say there's 10 of them on the market for this kind of racing, and I've probably gone through maybe 8 of them. And I signed a sponsorship with, or we didn't sign, but we're sponsored by RCRI. For the reason that we chose at the end of the day to go with their products, and we end up winning races with them. So of course they're going to reach out to us. We're also got I'm sponsored by Hobby Wings, my second year with Hobby Wings, so thank you, Ron at Hobby Wing. Thank you. Who was it at MKS Servos?
Mike Kassar sent me the servo. Appreciate it. Works great. Let him give the car a rip, and pretty responsive servo.
Yeah, it feels very accurate. It's lightweight. It's got a small footprint. If you're watching, man, send one out. I'd love to try one. I don't really want to say this because I'm not sponsored by them, but so I can get a servo from them, I use Savox servos. I wish I could use MKS servos. If only somebody would send me one. You give me an MKS servo, we'll win with it. So you'll see. That car right there's got one in it right now, and it's a mean bitch. It really is. So,
Yep.
What else we got, guys?
I think that's
That's
it.
it.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. And we'll, again, next week, by midweek, I will chime in and make a post on whether or not we're going to go live next Friday. Probably will, because I think Gabe's coming back and wants to sit on it, like I had said before. But from everybody here at 707 Streetcars, and thank you, Rich, for filming for us, and thank you, Matt, for stepping in. And that's it, guys. Bye.
All right, thank you.